Telling y'all. Shit. All right. And we're back just like that. Welcome to the Dirty Bird Nation Report, the unofficial official podcast of Falcons Twitter. I want to change that name. I don't know why. Why am I saying this right now? Anyways, we're back. We're here with expert Eric Robinson.
I'm not
It's
an
been a
expert.
minute. Expert. I
I'm not.
said what I said.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Goddamn. Eric Robinson is in the building. Y'all welcome Mr. ESPN to the house. If you don't follow him on Twitter, he is here. His at name is right there. He has been holding Falcons Twitter down with these spaces, and he be pissing me off because he does these spaces while I'm at work. I'm working. He gonna do the spaces, so I get to like
Mm,
half listen for 30 fucking minutes. But
So
y'all
what
need
am
to
I supposed to do?
look now. You gotta do what you gotta do. Okay, I just listen to the recordings. But one day I'm gonna just take the day off just so I can jump in your spaces.
That would be nice.
Okay, I'm gonna do it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it one of these days. He's here, and then Sniffles. He's here for harassment, and because I
You're not
can't
gonna
sue him.
you're not gonna read I have draft expert in mind also.
He's
You're
the
not gonna read
real
that.
expert, not me.
Memphis Sniffles, draft expert, Colts
He's the
slash
real draft
Falcons
expert.
fan,
I
Matt
have
Ryan,
watched
super
I have watched
fan.
so many YouTube videos. I've watched so many of them. All the highlights. I've seen them all. I've just been grinding film tape and grinding film for since the
Five
last
minutes.
snap of the Super Bowl.
5 minutes on one prospect. All right, that was done.
Moving through it, moving through it. Let me see all your touchdowns. Let me see all your touchdowns. All right, next. We look good. I don't need the
Yeah.
all 22. I don't need to see what everybody else did.
Oh my God. He's our draft expert. Eric is just here because he's tired of talking about the draft, but he graciously joined our presence to be here tonight. So thank you, Eric. So, the fucking Falcons.
Wow.
Love them.
That's what we
I
call it.
mean, they be just getting on my nerves. They did good this free agency. I can give them that. Just real quick, what would you give the Falcons a grade? What's the grade you give the Falcons for free agency this year?
Um, I'll give him a B plus.
Oh shit.
Give him a B plus. I think they were very aggressive this all season, which was pretty much anticipated, especially when you're going into free agency with $70 million roughly. Um, they addressed a number of positions. They got free safety. They got got bringing in a guy like Jesse Bates. They brought in David Onyemata. Adding a guy like Calais Campbell was significant in terms of just adding a guy to your locker room. They made little small moves here and there. Mac Hollins and Scotty Miller. I think those are interesting additions. Trading for a guy like Jonnu Smith was significant. Trading for a guy like Jeffrey Okuda. I think those type of moves are, you're kind of sort of rolling the dice on talent. So I would say they got a little aggressive this all season. The one thing that's holding them back, in my opinion, from having an A is not addressing the interior offensive line. I think if they would have did that, they would have earned themselves A minus for me at least. But I think this offseason they did quite well. They didn't hand out too much money. They didn't overpay for anybody, in my opinion. So I give them a B plus.
Okay. So with that being said, Breeze pointed out that we have a lot of 1 year contracts that we gave out in free agency. Now, is that a good sign to you or a bad sign? Like, how do compare? What do you think about 1 year contracts?
I mean, most these GMs, they know what gets the wheels turning when it comes to these players, and it's money. When you have a particular player and you've got an uncertain future hanging over your head, and you kind of sort of dangle that over that player's head, in some cases you're probably going to get the best out of them if they know that their future is up in the air, and depending on how they play this particular year, you honestly may get 1,000% effort from a lot of these players, especially when it comes to a guy like Jeffrey Okuda, who was drafted 3rd overall. Now, normally you would say a guy that's taken that high is almost expected to get a second contract, but he's playing for that second contract at this point. Like he doesn't have a guaranteed 5th-year option like he thought he was going to have. And that's now he's playing for his next long-term deal. Same with Bud Dupree. Bud Dupree is a guy coming in on a 1-year deal. He's knocking on, I think he's 29 years old. So he's almost at that twilight age of 30 or whatever. He's looking for one final payday. So he's going to come in on a 1-year deal and try to, try to get the most out of him when it comes to that. Same with Matt Hollins, same with Scotty Miller. So I don't mind it. And this is how this team has kind of sort of stayed afloat over the last 2 years with these 1-year deals. And it's, for the most part, it's paid off fairly well for them.
I would kind of like to hear the pitch they made to Calais Campbell for him to take a 1-year deal in Atlanta, because I did see something, it might have been in one of your spaces, where it was like it was between Atlanta and the Jets. And a lot of people would say like the Jets, especially now with Aaron Rodgers, are like a contending team compared to the Falcons. And it's like Calais Campbell's a older player. He's probably got like maybe 1 or 2, 3 years left at the most. And it's like, okay, what did Arthur Blank say to him, or what did he see to be like, oh, well, I like what they're doing in Atlanta as opposed to what they're doing in New York with an already established, like they have an established defense. Like Calais Campbell can just come in there, be leader guy, and come in on 3rd down or something. But in Atlanta, he's probably going to be expected to do probably a little more, or maybe he's just cool with Grady Jarrett. Like I'd be curious to know how that conversation went.
It was 2 things. First, Atlanta offered him an opportunity to play a lot more edge than the Jets did. He stated he's been in the league roughly 15 years. So I think he said that he's only actually played natural edge rusher only 3 years of that entire career. So he kind of sort of wants to get back to playing that along with the off the field endeavors that were kind of sort of promised to him by Arthur Blank. The thing about Calais Campbell is he's like, that is huge for him, being able to go be off the field and get back to the community, do things for the team and things of that nature. That is huge for him. You can talk about a guy that was a Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee this past season. I believe he actually won it. So those type of responsibilities are huge for him, not only as a player now, but even post-career. I don't think the Jets kind of sort of promised that type of thing. And for Arthur Blank, that's something that's important to him as well, being able to give back to the community and being able to have that type of stance off the field representing your team. That is something that was almost a selling point for Calais Campbell. So those 2 things right there pretty much sold him for the most part.
Now, speaking on Campbell, are you buying what he said? I don't know if you saw the Crew interview, the Crew podcast interview, where I'm summarizing, where he said that Smith sat him down, watched Ritter tape, and convinced him that Ritter was the guy. Are you convinced that that's true? And that's one of the reasons why he picked us over the Jets?
You really think he's going to come public with something like that if it's not?
I mean,
he basically said that he was sold on the idea of Ritter over playing with Aaron Rodgers. You really think he's going to go public with that if there's no truth to it?
I mean, I be lying sometimes. So, everybody lies.
That's a hell of a lie.
that's a nasty lie if it's a lie.
Man, look.
I hope he ain't lying, okay?
I
don't think he is.
Let me tell you something. You could pay me $100 right now to say the same shit. Okay, I'm just saying. So what if they pay me about $10,000 to say it?
No.
Okay.
I'm not. Ain't no way. Go ahead, Marcus.
No, I was gonna see if I can get a little bit more context. Like, was he asked like, hey, what were some of the reasons that you chose Atlanta, and Desmond Ritter was a reason, or
So
was
he
it
was
why did you come to Atlanta and it was because I saw Desmond Ritter tape?
well,
Because
he was
there's a
asked,
difference between
what was,
those.
he was asked like what were the selling points for Atlanta, and he
Okay, so
mentioned
it was one. Okay,
yeah. So
I'll give him that.
he mentioned, the whole position thing and how they're going to allow him to play more edge. He mentioned off the field philanthropy ideas that he had as well. But he kind of sort of slipped in that conversation that he had a sit down with Arthur Smith. And during that sit down, they watched tape of Ritter, and he was like, "Oh, I can see the tools. I can see what you see in him." So it was one of those things. But again, even for him to say that publicly on a podcast, knowing that millions of people are going to hear it, I can't sit here and say he's going to come out and he's going to say something like that if there's no truth to it. There's no merit to it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like
I believe it in that context. When you put it like that, then I believe that he said it.
He took that aspect and he pretty much handcuffed it to getting text from Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Rodgers saying, "Hey, come play for the Jets." So he merged. Yeah, he put all that together. So yeah, he mentioned that in the same conversation. I think it's pretty truthful there, Lethal. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I mean, I get it. He don't want to play with Aaron. I don't blame him. But I mean, it's nothing that he. Now, in that same podcast episode, he also came out and said that he feels the Falcons could win 13 games. Look,
I just, hey, man.
You might play as my guy. You know what I'm saying? I love the Falcons. They're dear in my heart. I really do think at this point in time that they are a playoff contender. Even with the additions that they made this offseason. But man, 13 games.
He said a lot of words.
I know the NBA kind of stopped drug testing, but like the NFL, they still drug test, Calais. So you might want to be careful about the stuff you're saying.
Nah, man, my man got faith. I mean, that's an abundant amount of faith, but my man got faith. Hey,
that's a lot. That's a lot of faith.
That's a lot of faith. You really stepping out on a limb there, buddy. Especially in this day and age of social media, that's going to come back to haunt the team if they win 6 games this year. Oh, you said they were going to win 13. Like,
yeah. And if Ritter don't pan out, that's gonna hunt him too. Now, granted, I'm not saying Ritter ain't gonna pan out. I want to give the man a chance. He only did 4 games. I want to give him a chance, see what he can do. He can pan out. I'm not saying he can't. I'm just saying you see the tools after 4 games. Like, what other tools did you see that you're saying you're gonna pick him over going to the Jets? You know what I'm saying? With Aaron Rodgers potentially going, granted, it's kind of fuck him at this point. But still, at the same time, like, oh, wait, weighing my options here.
I mean, he's a guy at this point that he wanted to do certain things, and like I said, the playing the edge position, given that particular spot, that was kind of sort of that meant, that was significant to him. And the Jets were going to give him that opportunity. They probably was just going to tell him to kick inside and play defensive tackle full time, and that's probably something he didn't want to do. So, I mean,
I feel him on that. I want to do what I want to do, so I'm gonna go to the team where I want to do it all. I got that. Right. But then he said the other part. I was like, wait a minute. That's no, maybe. I don't know. But we're gonna see. But speaking of that, I'm not on Twitter that much these days. However, every time I get on, I see you mofos arguing about the goddamn quarterback. Jesus Christ. All right. First, it was the Lamar Jackson stuff. Okay. Me and Marcus discussed that. Go look at the last episode. We're not going to talk about that right now. Lamar staying a Raven? Boom. Let's talk about this draft. Y'all want every quarterback under the sun to be our 8th pick. Okay? Now, these people have said Ritter is our quarterback. He is our guy. So, my question, and what I'd like to know from y'all, is why in the world would we then say that and then go pick a quarterback at 8?
Can I answer that real quick? Because I think I saw someone tweet this, and I think I answered them. They were just like, why would they publicly say, oh, well, Desmond Ritter's our guy. We're committed to him. NFL teams, all sports teams, they always say that whoever is currently there is their guy until someone else becomes available, until someone better becomes available. Like it literally happened last year with, well, not last year, but I guess the year before with Matt Ryan. It's like, yeah, Matt Ryan's our guy. He's our guy. He's our quarterback. And then Deshaun Watson becomes available. It's like, hold on a second, man. Hey, let me go just look over here real quick. I'm just gonna call him, see what's up. Like, you're still our guy, but you know what I'm saying? He's available. We're just gonna take a look. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody is like Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson was the Jets guy. And then Aaron Rodgers is available. It's like, hold on a second. Hold on a second, Zach. Hold on. Let's just take a look. Let's just take a little peek, see what we can do. Maybe, you're still our guy, but we're gonna go look. That's the nature of the business. So I'm not really surprised that they would publicly come out there and say, like, oh yeah, that's our guy. Like the Colts are saying that Gardner Minshew is here to compete. He's our guy. Like, he's the only guy we got right now. It is what it is.
Okay. So I have a rebuttal to that. Those scenarios are completely different. When it comes to Matt Ryan, you're saying this, but in the back of your mind, he's 36 years old. We didn't draft him. He's not going to be playing here forever. When it comes to, who's the other example that you used? Zach Wilson. They drafted him.
Zach Wilson.
He played. He looked terrible. I think everyone went into that offseason knowing his days are numbered. Gardner Minshew, we not even going that road. Come on, everyone in that building knows Gardner's only there for a year. Even Gardner himself is like, yeah, I ain't here for long, bro. I already know that. When it comes to Ritter, I think what was key was them coming out, and I think they were not necessarily think that they were pressured to do so, but I think in the midst of how the offseason was going, where they're so tied to Lamar Jackson for so long that they had to come forth in some manner and say, hey, you know what? Ritter is our guy. We're going to roll with Ritter. Not only that, but you send that message to Taylor Heineke, who also comes out publicly and says, they brought me in to strictly be the backup to Desmond Ritter and to help develop him. So if he comes out and says that, yeah, it's kind of hard for me to sit here and say, man, they lying. The backup quarterback and he's being, he's given a 2-year deal for $20 million. And he's literally like, yeah, I was just brought in to back up Ritter. Now, I think in a perfect world or in a dream world, somehow, some way, CJ Stroud falls to them at 8, and they're looking at Desmond, and they're like, but I mean, those odds are pretty low. Those odds are pretty low. I can't see CJ getting no lower than 7 to the Raiders, and even I'm a little nervous about putting money on that, to be honest with you. So they're going to roll with Ritter, which is fair. Give him a fair shot. That's all. I mean, he only had 4 games. He technically didn't win the job. Give him a fair chance to compete and win the job. But I also feel that because of his level as a quarterback, he needs to have a certain level of talent around him. I don't think he's going, if he fully develops to who I think he can be, I don't think he's going to be in that, Mahomes, Lamar, Burrow tier. So he's going to kind of sort of have to be that Dak Prescott like quarterback where he's good and he's refined and he's gotten better, but he still needs a certain level of talent at key positions in order for him to truly blossom.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what you thought his ceiling was. So you think at his best, fully developed, Dak Prescott is who you think Desmond Ritter can be?
Dak Prescott without the turnovers.
Ouch.
I need to put that out there. I need to put that out there. because there's Dak, and then there, goddamn Dak. What's going on? Like the Dak that we saw against the Niners in the playoffs, like that was ugly Dak. Like, I don't want to.
Didn't Dak lead the league in like turnovers, and he missed like 3 games or something crazy like that? Was that last year or the year before? One of these years, that's crazy. How do you have that many turnovers? You missed like 4 games.
There have been times, there have been stretches in Dak's career when he's on, the Cowboys look really good.
Yeah,
and I feel Desmond. I feel that is his ceiling, and so we're talking about a guy that can possibly be at best a top 12 quarterback if he develops properly. And again, but that's to me what separates you as a quarterback in the league is that you can take a certain guy, you can take a certain skill set, and you can put him in just about any scheme, any system, and not only is he going to make that team, is he going to make that offense better, but that team is going to start winning a little bit more games. You can take Patrick Mahomes, you can put Mahomes anywhere. It doesn't matter. He can play in Arizona, he can play in Green Bay, he can play with the Jets. It don't matter. That team is going to win games. I can't say that with a certain level of quarterback when it comes to Dak Prescott. He's good.
I mean, there's probably like 5 quarterbacks that can do that. Like what you're talking about with Patrick Mahomes. Like we're talking about a whole different level of like elite. It's like Patrick Mahomes. Some people will put like Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson at his healthiest. But like outside of that, it's kind of like you look at Jalen Hurts. Like Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback, or he's had a pretty great year, but he's surrounded by a lot of talent. Like them wide receivers, that offensive line, he's surrounded by a lot of good talent. So not going to take away anything from him. But I mean, you put Patrick Mahomes on the Eagles, that team goes 20-0.
And it's funny because everyone wants to, well, not everyone, but a lot of people want to take that elite term, and everyone loves that name now. That they love every player's elite now. They want to slap it to every player, and they want to apply it to a guy like Jalen Hurts. And I'm like, wait a minute. A year ago, y'all said he was the biggest liability on the Eagles, and now he's elite in a matter of a year. How does that work? I don't get it. So, and a lot of people want to apply it to Tua. Like, wait a minute, hold on. Tua, you guys were just ready to get rid of Tua after 14 games, and now all of a sudden he's elite. But you do that, and I feel like you're ignoring the fact that each of these guys got like an all-pro talented receiver this offseason. like Tua got Tyreek and Jalen got AJ Brown, and it's like, oh, we're forgetting that they just made this masterful leap. Like, come on, stop playing. But I agree with you, Marcus. There's a certain tier of elite. And when it's all said and done, I think Ritter can be, maybe a notch below. He can definitely be a top 12 quarterback if he develops properly, in my opinion.
I'll ask you this. I know we did the whole mostly quarterback talk, so I'm not going to ask about the Lamar Jackson stuff, but I am going to ask about the rookie quarterbacks in the draft right now. So, assuming that Bryce Young goes number 1 overall to the Panthers, CJ Stroud, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, Hendon Hooker, and Desmond Ritter. If you had to rank those 5, based on what you've seen, like in college, potential, talent, if you had to rank those 5, how would you do that? How would you? I'm trying to just kind of filibuster so you get some time to rank, because that's
we're taking skill set, we're taking production in college. All that is in consideration.
And everything in the consideration, projection, what you think they can be, what they would look like maybe in the Falcons offense. If you had to rank those 5, the 4 quarterbacks, CJ Stroud, Hendon Hooker, Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, and Desmond Ritter.
Stroud, Ritter, Levis, Richardson, Hooker.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Because when it comes to Ritter, now Ritter doesn't have the athleticism or the skill set of a guy like Levis or Richardson, but what he does have over them, of course, is college production. You're talking about a guy that was a starter for 4 years, won 48 games at Cincinnati, including leading them to the college football playoff his final year there. And he also guided them to a Peach Bowl where they almost end up beating Georgia that junior year of his. This guy was productive. I'm not taking that away from him at all. Was it a guy that he's not going to wow you in terms of running a 4.4 or throwing the ball 80 yards? But he won games, and he was a great. I don't want to say game manager. I really don't. But I think the one thing that you want to look at when it comes to his skill set, when you look at him on tape, there's very few times, if any, where I'm looking at it and I'm looking at the games that they lost, and I'm blaming him for it. I'm not sitting here saying he lost them those games. There were plenty of opportunities or plenty of times where he put them in position to win, but I rarely saw that from him at the collegiate level where, man, they lost that game because he just played poorly. I did not see that. I saw that plenty from Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson had 4 games this past season where he threw 4 or 5 games where he threw for under 50% completion percentage.
Dang.
Like, that was terrible. Like, he had a game against Florida State where he had 21 consecutive incompletions. 21
in one game.
In one game.
That's a lot.
21 passes were incomplete, whether it was a drop or an overthrow or 21 consecutive incomplete. Like, who does that?
That's like a whole quarter and a half.
It spanned it over from the second until like middle of the third.
Good.
Towards the end of the third. Like, to me, that's a problem. That is a huge issue. Even it's not like they had 21 straight drops. No, he overthrew these guys. He underthrew them. There were a couple of drops in there. He might have thrown it into the dirt because the play wasn't there. But 21 consecutive incompletions, 21 straight. Like, come on, man. So,
in college.
Yeah, I think if Ritter was in this particular class, I honestly would have. Me personally, I would have him third.
Okay.
That seems fair.
Plus, Hendon Hooker's almost 27. Like, he's old.
He's old, and he's already got like bad knees. So that's
or his ACL. Yeah.
As a fellow old person with knee problems, I get why you would not want to draft him.
I'm just like in it, but he's starting to get some buzz. He's starting to get some first round talk right now. But that would scare me because I know that bringing him in as a quarterback, he's already coming in with a knee injury. Not to mention, he's pretty much at his ceiling already. If he isn't there, he's not that far away. So I'm only going to get maybe one contract, maybe the rookie contract out of him before we possibly could start seeing a dip in play. Because not every quarterback is going to play to age 34, 35, 36. Some guys may dip a little earlier than that. And I'm a little weary that Hendon Hooker might be that guy. So, but there may be a scenario where he's taken late in the first, which is, all right. If you want to do it, do your thing.
So, just because I feel like bothering people, what about Stetson Bennett?
Come on, man. What are we doing here? You really gonna make me sit and drive your show? Like, let's not.
He's a winner.
Huh?
He's a winner. He's a winner.
He's a what?
He's a winner. He could be the next Tom Brady. He can just come in there, change your whole program up, and just win you games because he's a winner.
Wasn't Jake Fromm a winner too?
Yes, Jake Fromm. He's in Buffalo. You think Josh Allen got good overnight because of Josh Allen? It's because Jake Fromm was there.
Jake Fromm is still in the league. I didn't know Jake Fromm is still in the league. That's new to me.
Oh my god!
I don't know if he's in the league or not. Honestly,
I thought Jake Fromm was working at Pep Boys the other day. I thought I saw him. I thought he was.
You probably did.
I thought he was putting out windshield wipers. I mean, that's when it comes. Look, I don't understand this Stetson Bennett love. Okay, it's mainly because he had a G on the side of his helmet, and I'm sitting here thinking, like, come on, man, like, we really going to put this guy in the league? Come on, stop it.
Ain't he like 30?
He's close to
college too.
This is a future. He's a future Amazon driver, man. Let's be real. Like, come on, that's
okay.
Respectfully.
Yes.
I'll stop playing now.
Jesus.
I knew that would get the juices going.
That was funny. Now I need to know if Jake Fromm is still in the league because last I saw he was in Buffalo, but I don't know if he's still there now.
That was like 3 years ago, wasn't it?
It was 3 years
Was
ago.
it?
That long?
I don't remember.
It was that long
I
ago.
don't
Look, man, these guys. Stetson. There's no way you're gonna sit here and talk me into thinking that Stetson was a huge catalyst for why Georgia has been successful the last 2 years. Like
That's what Georgia folks say. The G fans.
They also felt like Jake Fromm was the better option than Justin Fields, and they tried to sell us on this dream that Jake Fromm is the NFL quarterback.
Look at what Jake Fromm did against Ohio State. Look at the numbers he put up. Him and CJ Stroud, they're the same guy. They put up the same great numbers in the playoffs. Like CJ Stroud is a top 5 pick, and Stetson Bennett is looking at playing wide receiver. Feels racist to me, guys.
Oh my God. Anyway, now that I've caused chaos,
that's disgusting. That's nasty.
Another potential. Another potential controversial pick.
Give me 20 on 3. That's what you better do, Stetson. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. That was
Phyllis Tank.
That's very unprofessional. I'm sorry. You got to edit that out later. I'm sorry.
We apologize. Okay, what minute is this? 31. Okay, minute 31. All right. So another controversial pick that y'all have been all up in arms over is my guy, Bijan.
Now we're talking about talent.
Talent. The man is talented. He can run. He can do a lot of things. Okay? He could probably run through an F-150 unharmed. That's how talented this boy is. And God damn it, I would like to have him. I don't know why y'all wouldn't. I get we have Algier. Okay, I like the little nigga. I like Algier. He cool. But like, why can't we have Bijan? And Cordell knees about to give out. The cartilage in Cordell knees is going out. Okay, he ain't gonna last too much longer. He doing too much. So why can't we just have Bijan? What is the problem? What's wrong with y'all?
Cordell on ball time at this point, man. Ain't no way that dude's still going the way he's going at this pace and at his age. Because Jesus, y'all are running that dude into the ground.
Exactly, the new cartilage just going out.
I've taken my fair share of lumps over the past couple months when it comes to Bijan Robinson. I kind of sort of feel like that. I kind of sort of feel like that meme that Desi Banks had where he got beat up and he got into his boy's car and he had like the black eye with the torn wife beater and he's looking at his elbow and scratches everywhere. I feel like that when it comes to being on Twitter against, with this Falcons fan base fighting for Bijan Robinson. Not just the Falcons fan base, but people in general. Like, it's just this team, they really want to go BPA, all right? And for them, most teams do, honestly. They want to put themselves in a position where most teams want to build best player available. Drafting for need, why people feel that you have to do that every single draft, especially when we're in the top 10, is not always necessary. And sometimes that can set you behind as a franchise. Just ask the Cleveland Browns, who've been trying to draft the right quarterback for 15 years because they've been drafting for need for so long. They've been drafting for Brady Quinn, or go back further than that, Tim Couch, Brady Quinn, Johnny Manziel, Brandon Wheaton, Baker Mayfield, trying to draft for needs at the same position year after year after year. Sometimes does not always work. Sometimes you have to go a different route. People want to force feed an edge rusher to the Falcons. We get it. They need to improve on the defensive line. But me personally, if the fourth best edge rusher is there at 8, I don't want to take him because he's not a top 10 overall pick. in my opinion. You go back to last year, same scenario. They were on the clock at 8. Kayvon Thibodeau was gone. The next best edge rusher at that point was Jermaine Johnson, who they passed on, who ended up falling all the way down to the 20s. There's a reason why. Because he wasn't a top 10 overall prospect. That just happens. I rather do that. I rather go BPA and take the best talent on the board at that particular point than take a guy like, I don't know, Nolan Smith. Nothing against Nolan Smith. It's going to be a pretty solid prospect at the next level. But you're talking about taking a guy at 8 for the sake of saying we fulfilled the position. That's how you reach. That's how you reach. That's how you end up taking guys like Vic Beasley. Do we need to go down that road again? I don't think we need to go down that road again.
Oh my God. So I've always been kind of the guy that's like, stay away from running backs in the first round, no matter what. It's not worth it. Top 10 pick, no. You can get a better running back in the later rounds. I always use the example of I can't remember what year it was, but I think it was the year the Cowboys took Zeke, and I was like, my homeboy is a Cowboys fan. I was like, you guys could have got Jalen Ramsey, and I think there was another running back in that draft that got drafted like in the 3rd or 4th round that was productive. And I was like, you could have had Jalen Ramsey and a productive running back as opposed to just having Zeke Elliott, who was good for like 2 years. And I was like, just stay away from running backs in the first round.
Zeke a bad pick?
A good one. I don't know. I'm not saying he was a bad pick. I'm just saying they could have had Jalen Ramsey. I wish I had my computer up because my internet's down. But it was Jalen Ramsey they could have had. And then in like the 3rd or 4th round, there was another running back that was like very productive that went in that same. I don't know if you can look it up and go with that. But the more I hear about this Bijan Robinson, it's kind of like, okay, I get why you wouldn't want to take a running back in the first round. But if that running back is the best college running back prospect since Adrian Peterson, and for my money, Adrian Peterson is like top 3 running back ever, and I might change my mind. It's like, do I want to have like people? I know we're old enough to remember, but there's some people that don't really know. Like Adrian Peterson came into the league and was like the best running back in the NFL, like day one. And if you can get that at 8. I would understand if the team is like, yeah, I want that. We'll build around that.
He's being compared in the eyes of some analysts to LaDainian Tomlinson.
Give me that. Give me
How do you say no?
Give me that. I'm not passing LaDainian Tomlinson.
Bruh.
LaDainian Tomlinson, Adrian Peterson, I'm not passing that up. I'm sorry.
How do you say no?
Give me that.
Like that's the thing, especially because
with that coach.
And a lot of that plays into that part where if this was a team that was orchestrating Kansas City Chiefs like offensive scheme, then I wouldn't even be having this conversation because Bijan would not be a fit. But this is a team that their foundation on offense is the run game. They're going to run the football. So of course it makes sense for me to have that type of prospect here. Now, when it comes to Bijan Robinson, like, I mean, he's being compared to Adrian Peterson, or the best running back since Adrian Peterson. He's been compared to LaDainian Tomlinson in terms of an impact he can have on your offense. For a team that's been told for like 3 years that they don't have talent, how do you just sit here and say, oh, we're too good for that? Like,
bruh, hello? That's what I'm like. How can we just pass up on him? And let's say Ritter don't work out with his pass game. What are they going to do? Feed the ball to Bijan, just like they're doing with Cordell. Like, come on.
You can look at it this way, Lethal. Let's just say that they hypothetically do take Bijan, right? And let's say this year doesn't work out for Ritter. You mean to tell me that if you get aggressive next year and you take a guy like Caleb Williams, that you can't slot Caleb Williams in, and now you have a Caleb Williams, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson nucleus on offense?
Me gusta.
Like,
Bijan makes the most sense. He makes
It
more sense with
does.
Arthur Smith coming from like he. I'm not saying he made Derrick Henry, but he built his offense around Derrick Henry's skill set. And from what
Right.
I've heard and from what I've seen, Bijan is a great runner, and he's just as good at pass protection and catching the ball. So it's like you're telling me I can get a LaDainian Tomlinson, like say less, sign me up. I want that.
Give me.
Even to a lesser effect, he's been said that he can have a Christian McCaffrey type impact on an offense. And even a healthy Christian McCaffrey is like he's damn good.
A beast.
We're saying no to
that.
Give me.
You can't say no to that.
Come on, man. Like and again, when it comes to the position, I get it. It doesn't have a long shelf life, but if you look at a lot of these examples, you look at a lot of these situations, and you brought up Zeke. Zeke didn't have a Tony Pollard early in his career. It was literally just him. So, of course, when it comes to year 7 in Dallas, he's hit a certain wall. I get it. He's never had that. Even when you go to a guy like Dalvin Cook in Minnesota, Dalvin Cook is going to turn 28. Or if he hasn't turned 28 already, I would not be surprised if we start to see a step back in terms of production from Dalvin Cook. But a lot of it is mainly stemmed from the fact that it's really only been him in Minnesota the last few years. Like these teams, I think that plays a considerable part. When you take a running back high, it's one thing to take a running back high, but if you're literally taking a running back high and you're giving him 300 carries, 250, 300 carries a season, of course he's going to hit a wall. And you're not giving much of a backup behind him. Of course he's going to hit a wall. Of course he's going to have a short shelf life. I get it. Like, well, Marcus, you're a Colts fan. You guys better get some help behind Jonathan Taylor, or he's not. Sure. He's not going to be the Jonathan Taylor you want for 10 years. Okay,
he's in the last year of his contract. So,
I mean,
it might be time. Like if they move on from him, I would understand it because it's like you don't want to put so much money into a running back, but that can be the same thing with Robinson, where it's like. Yeah, you're taking a position super high that doesn't really last that long. Like if you draft a quarterback, obviously they're usually there for like 10 years. Offensive line, defense, or usually last a little bit longer than running backs. But say you get Robinson, and now you have the best running back in the league for 4 years. Like you have him for 4 years. You do what you can, and then you can do what the 49ers did or what the Panthers did with McCaffrey, where it's like. Hey man, we're not here to win. We're not. It didn't work out, and I don't know what they got from McCaffrey, but you could get something from him.
I feel like fans are dipping into that pool of complacency when it comes to sitting here saying we have Tyler Algier, we're fine. That's how you stay at a certain level of mediocrity in this league, in my opinion, because you're looking at the running back room right now. You have a 5th round running back that just ran for 1,000 yards as a rookie. You got a 32-year-old wide receiver who literally just started playing running back full-time 2 years ago. And then you got an undrafted free agent in Caleb Huntley who just tore his Achilles last year. And you guys are literally looking at the running back room and saying, we're good.
We're okay. It's fine. It's fine. No,
you're gonna treat Algier the same way you treated Devontae Freeman a few years ago. After about 3 or 4 years, you're gonna say, "All right, bro, you good, you can go." That's exactly what's going to happen. I see it already. And not to mention when it comes to Cordero played 13 games last year, and in each of the last 2 years, Cordero has slowed down. In the second half of the season, like he hit a wall in each of the last 2 years. He's 32, guys. He's 32, and he's on the last year of his deal.
That's what I said. He don't got the Meg Thee Stallion knees no more.
Right. He ain't got that much time, man. And y'all want to give him another 150, 200 carries? Okay. All right.
Okay, put that man back at wide receiver, man. Get him out of there. Jesus Christ.
But see, that's the flexibility that having a guy like Bijan does. You can take him off the field. You can say, hey, you know what, Cordero, you're going to be our gadget play guy. You're gonna be if we make it to the postseason, you're gonna be our reliever at running back in the postseason. Like imagine if you're able to run the ball a healthy amount of carries with Algier and Bijan, and then in the fourth quarter, when defenses are battered and bruised, you bring in Cordell Patterson to close the deal for you. No, man, please. I don't see how you can sit here and say no to that.
I'm not saying no to LT, man. That's I loved LT as growing up. I loved his style of play. Like he's obviously like an all timer. Like you can make a case that he's the greatest running back ever. So if you have the option and the ability to take that, you have to take that.
You could.
You have to.
And
Arthur Smith is not passing that.
I think it's coincidental because I don't know if you guys have noticed as well, but a lot of coaches, a lot of scouts, a lot of even current NFL players have come out and said that Bijan is the best player in the draft, regardless of position. And there's a consensus that he's a top 5 talent in the draft, regardless of position. How do you say no?
Well, they're saying no, because most of them want one of two people in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
One, Jalen Carter. Player 2, Nolan Smith. That is why they want to say no.
I've seen a lot of people asking for the Gonzalez kid.
Here's my thing on that too. And I'm not sitting here saying that Bijan should be the pick at 8. I think right now, if their draft board is set up a certain way, I would say that Carter, Tyree Wilson, and maybe Gonzalez are listed above Bijan in terms of that. But I also feel that when the draft rolls around and it plays out a certain way, that I don't think Tyree will be there. I don't think Jalen will be there. I'm pretty positive that Will Anderson won't be there. So you're sitting at a situation where if you're going BPA and those 3 guys are off the list, you got a hard time convincing me that Bijan, who's already considered a top 5 talent, is not considered the best player on the board at that point. Like,
I mean, Bijan comes into the NFL as probably a top 5 running back day one, if he is who they say he is.
Yeah.
I mean, how many running backs? Right.
I don't get it. I will if Jalen Carter so happens to fall to 8. I can see a situation where the Falcons are like, okay, you know what, we're going to take Jalen, and in that manner, I completely understand. Even if Tyree falls at 8, I will understand if they go that route and take a guy like Tyree Wilson. But to sit here and just look at what's up?
No, go ahead.
But to sit here and just look at a situation where Bijan is available and you're looking at the board and it plays out a certain way and you still don't think you still think Nolan Smith is the better option compared to having Bijan. I can't look at you in a certain eye, man. Like I gotta frown at you when I look at you that way. The fact that you want to sit here and say Nolan Smith can definitely be developed into a really good edge rusher at the next level. However, you're talking about taking a guy at 8 that has 12 career sacks in 4 years at the University of Georgia. 12 in 4 years. I don't know if I want to take that at 8. If we're talking 18, maybe. But at 8, if I'm taking a guy at 8, I need to know who he is as a prospect, especially at edge rusher. I don't know who Nolan Smith can be at the next level. He's already undersized and he already underperformed at the collegiate level. Was
he the one that had a bad pro day? Was that him?
No, he had a great pro day. Jalen had a bad pro day.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one I would stay away from because I'm like when it comes to like the combine and pro days, I'm kind of like everybody knows what we're doing. We all know the drills. Everybody trains for these drills. So for the most part, everybody should do fine. The combines and the pro days really don't matter until you have a bad one. You cannot have a bad pro day because it's literally an open book test. Like you tell them like, hey, I'm going to do this, this, and this. Let's practice for this. And for him to kind of show up to his pro day out of shape, unable to perform, that's a major red flag. Like it'd have been better if he just came out there and just did average, but to be bad at a pro day, I hate to say it because he's a kid. He's going into the league. I don't want to talk down on him, but it's like, dog, that's your one time to be like, let me show off the best things that I can do, the best things that I'm good at. Let me do that here and prepare for it. And he wasn't, and that's bad.
I think when it comes to Jalen, the timing of his pro day with everything that went down in January with that particular that accident, I think he's kind of sort of forgiven a little bit because of his pro day performance, because you're talking about a situation where January came, the accident happened, literally day one of the combine. He wasn't even supposed to do on-field drills, but literally day one of the combine, news breaks that there's a warrant out for your arrest. So you have to leave the combine to go all the way down to Athens, Georgia to turn yourself in, clarify that situation. You clear it up, you fly back to Indy to do your drills. In the middle of the combine is done. I think your pro day is probably like 2 weeks later. And he has a terrible combine when he has a terrible pro day where he shows up 10 pounds overweight. I think he's forgiven a little bit.
Is he allowed to skip that though? Because like I know like CJ Stroud, like he didn't, obviously CJ Stroud went out there and threw, but he didn't like run. So like could he have like done just a few things and not everything? Or because like this guy apparently like is like, I don't watch a ton of college football, but I know that this guy is a great player. Could he just do the interviews there and just be like, hey man, look at the film?
Well, he didn't do any on-field drills at the con. He just did interviews, and he was going to save the drills for the pro day. But then the pro day came, and he came in 10 pounds overweight, and he didn't do great there. So
there was no option of just being like, I'm not going to work out pro day, or that would have looked bad too.
To sit here and not work out at all in the
like which is worse, to have a bad pro day or to just not do anything at your pro day?
To not do anything at all. I think
that's worse. Wow. Yes. Okay.
That's worse. Because you're talking about not participating at the combine and not participating at a pro day that's pretty much scripted for you. Like you're not doing any off-season drills, none. And so if the reason why you will want to do the off-season drills in his particular situation, or at least give it a try, is because you want to take some of the spotlight off of you being involved in a fatal accident involving teammates. But you give it a try, you give it a go, and it doesn't work out, and you show up 10 pounds overweight. So it's kind of sort of like, all right, you know what? He tried, he went out there, he was a little overweight, the timing of this thing didn't work out. That's where I think at that point, the precedence of the meetings, the pre-draft meetings, take even much more value at that point, because now you got to sit down in front of teams and you got to explain, this is why my offseason played out this way. So I think Jalen Carter has had a very interesting offseason. He's had some good and some bad go in his favor, mainly bad. But I think at this point, he's kind of sort of given a mulligan here a little bit when it comes to what we saw at his pro day.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. I can understand that. Yeah, he did have a lot of stuff going on, but yeah, I guess we just rarely see like bad pro day performances. Like I can't think of another person that had we've seen bad combines before. I think Peyton Manning they said had a bad. It might have been Peyton Manning. I think they said like Peyton Manning had a bad pro day, but I mean, he wasn't like.
I know Ryan Leaf had a terrible pro day. Ryan Leaf because Ryan Leaf was telling him in the interviews that once he gets drafted, he's going to go to Vegas and party and gamble and stuff like that. He did that at the combine during the interviews, and I'm like, "What the hell are you doing?" He showed up to the combine drunk anyway.
Oh my god!
He had a hangover. He got drunk and he showed up to the combine, the pre-draft interviews. And he had a hangover.
Oh my goodness!
And they still took him number 2.
Yeah, they did. They still took him to 2.
If I'd have known that, I'd be pissed. I would, if I was a fan of that team, like he did this, and you still took his number. That's crazy. Nah, man. Everybody got to get fired after that.
And he looked you in your eye at the combine and said, "If you draft me second overall, I'm going to Vegas that night, and I'm gonna party it up."
Wow.
He looked at you with his bloodshot eyes and slurred that like, "You take me number 2. That's what I'm doing, buddy." Oh my God!
That's our guy. That's our guy right there. He's gonna.
We need him. He's leader of men right there.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, we'll see what Jalen. I do think Jalen. At the end of the day, I do think Jalen Carter is a top 10 pick. I don't see him making it past the Lions at 6. I think the Lions have been a team that's recently, in pre-draft meetings, they've said that, those meetings that kind of sort of cleared up his situation a little bit, and they have a different perspective of him now before the meetings, which I think was critical for him and for his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, as well. So we'll see. If he falls to 8, it'll be a surprise to me. I'll be honest. It'll be a surprise.
Because we're going Bajan high, baby.
Can I get it? Well, I don't know if we're wrapping up or anything, but can I get a prediction? Where is Lamar playing next year? No explanation, just where is he playing?
Oh, damn. Man, that situation is so funky, man. I don't know if I legitimate. It's so weird. Like, I'll say this: before the whole OBJ thing, I thought it was a real possibility that he could have sat the year out.
Whoa.
Because he's 26, coming off of a season-ending injury. I think if he would have sat, now he would have missed out on a little bit of money, but if he would have sat, got even healthier, had a complete year to train, man, teams would have been lining up at his door next offseason. Like, teams would have been kicking the door in, waiting for him. I don't know if he wants to play on that tag, because the thing is, when it comes to playing on that tag, there's no security with that, especially when you've had 2 consecutive season-ending injuries. You get a third on that tag, you're not getting anything long-term, buddy. You can forget about it. That's the risk you're taking. I don't know. I really don't know where he plays. I don't, Marcus.
This is not how that works. This is not how that works. Pick a team. Pick a team.
I don't think he plays in Baltimore. I'll leave it at that.
I like that. I like it.
He's playing it safe.
I don't think he plays in Baltimore, because if he plays in Baltimore, it would be one of 2 things. Either they give him a long-term deal and it's not what he's been wanting, and he's already publicly come out and said that they've shortchanged the hell out of him anyway, and we already pretty much know that at this point, or he's playing on that $32 million non-exclusive tag, which is, to me, at this point, you've already been trying. I feel like at that point, you've been trying to do this thing for 2 years now. You've been trying to negotiate a long-term deal for 2 years. And then you come back and you say, okay, you know what? I'm going to play on the tag again. You're going to go through another year of this, another offseason of these negotiations? Like, that's...
And you're playing on the smaller tag too, because he's on the non-exclusive one. They could get an exclusive tag, and that's like, was it like 40 something?
It was 40. I want to say it was like 47.
Yeah, he's playing for less.
You're playing for less on a smaller tag, and again, you go out there and you blow a tire. Nobody's talking to you. No one. And I don't know if that's a risk you want to take. If I'm his agent, I'm looking at him and I'm saying, look, I know you want to play. I know you want to hit the field, but man, you've been knocked out for the season for 2 years in a row. Okay. You suffer a third season-ending injury. No one's going to talk to you. Not the Ravens. Hell, a team from the XFL may not even talk to you. I don't know. Like, it's just no one's going to want to talk to you.
Not for that money.
Not for that money. Like you're risking, you're playing on $32 million and you have an opportunity to blow 200 million if you get injured again.
Hey man,
Do you want to do
he need to call Jalen Hurts' agent. Call that sister up. Tell her to hook him up for something,
do
man.
you,
Hey,
do you want him
can you give me
Indy?
that same deal? Y'all got any more
He's
of the
been
deals, man?
He's been tied to Indy for a little bit. Would you be?
I tell you this. I said this. If CJ Stroud is not there, if Anthony Richardson is not there, if Bryce Young is not there, take the best player available and trade for Lamar Jackson, because I'm out on Will Levis. I don't know why I can't do it. I can't do Will Levis. So if he's the only option for quarterback, then I'd rather the Colts just take either trade down or do whatever. But yeah, shift gears, get Lamar Jackson.
And that's the one quarterback that's been tied to the Colts the most, Will Levis. That's the one quarterback that they've sort of supposedly.
No, stop. No.
Sorry. They've got googly eyes for Will Levis.
No.
I know that's not what you want, but
no.
Sorry,
he's old too. He's got attitude problem. He's jacked Baker Mayfield, man. I don't.
Yeah, he puts mayonnaise in his coffee. Did you know that?
Please stop saying that. They keep telling me that. He eats bananas with the peel on it.
Yeah. You want that guy?
This guy is unhinged.
You want that guy leading your
not in the NFL.
You want that guy? I don't know if I want that.
Got to drive a bus full of kids to a school. No, I don't want that guy near anything. Get him away.
I don't know if I feel good going into a film session and my quarterback is sitting there with mayonnaise in his coffee, talking about, yeah, this is what we need to do. I'm like, you're gonna fix that coffee first, right? Like, you putting Miracle Whip.
This is my favorite play.
Yeah, you putting Miracle Whip in Folgers, bro. What are we doing?
Oh, disgusting.
I'm looking at Coach like, Coach, what?
I swear.
He's leading our
huddle. Y'all brought him?
Y'all brought him. This is our leader?
This is our leader?
Like, the fuck?
Like, what are mayonnaise packets? Like, come on, Coach. Like, what are we doing?
No. I tell you this, and I'm gonna regret this. I'm going to regret this, but I'm gonna say it anyway because #content. Damn it. If the Colts draft Will Levis at number 4, I don't know if I'm gonna do it on this podcast or on a different one, but I will drink a cup of coffee with mayonnaise in it.
Don't do it on this one. Do it on KTLC. Don't do it on this one. I don't feel like puking. Like, oh my god.
Does he stir? He stirs it up, right? It's stirred up, or is it just like chunky?
Yes. Yeah, he stirs it up. Yeah. We got to take you up on this. This is live. This is live. You put this out there in the open now. Like, you got to do it now.
Oh god. I don't see how it doesn't curdle.
Man, you know what? You know what? I want them to trade up for Levis too. Not only pick Levis, but say, you know what? We gonna give up some picks just to get this guy. Oh man, I want that. Man, your stomach gonna be mad at you.
The toilet gonna be mad at you too.
The toilet too. The toilet gonna be like, look here, bro.
I can't take anymore. Can't take any more of this. We already went down Meat Mountain. We can't do this again, man.
Unbelievable. And it,
I don't regret this.
It don't even matter what type of mayonnaise. It can be great value mayonnaise. It don't matter, man. You gotta do it, bro.
You gotta do it now.
Yep, you gotta do
it. Look what you did.
I don't know. What does that do for you? Does it? Like, I thought the coffee alone has enough caffeine to give you that whatever push. What does the mayonnaise do?
Eric, look, we aren't the right color of people on this show. that you need to be
I'm just.
asking a question to?
What is
We
that
don't
for?
know. we
Got a creamer substitute? Like, what is?
all right.
I
I
don't.
got it. Dear white people that listen to this, could you answer this question for us? Because we need to know. We don't
What
do
does
that over here. So
what is
we need the white delegation to come and put in the comments what mayonnaise
what
does
does
when you
that do? I don't get. And none of does it turn like is there still like a thickness to it? Does it turn into like a shake
bro.
almost depending on how
It's
much
gotta
mayonnaise you put
curdle.
into it?
I don't see how it doesn't curdle.
It has to, right? Like
It has
how
to
much are you
curdle.
how
Like
much are you putting in it? Or does it matter as far as how big of the coffee you have? Like does
like
that
you
require
probably
more mayonnaise? Like
what's that shit they say? A dollop. You gotta probably get a dollop of it and
yeah,
just plop it in there, and then it plops, and then the hot coffee just.
like I don't get it. Like, do you use a stirrer to actually stir it, or do you need a spoon because it's a little thicker now? Like, how do you
Maybe they did that milk frother where it goes and then it
does
froths
it
up.
leave a froth?
I don't know. You don't ask me. Look, I am not the right shade to be
Marcus, you tell us. Does it leave a froth? You should get used to.
I don't.
You know what
I
that?
don't.
You know what? You know what? That should be a drink that should be served on Sundays as Levis is leading the Colts down the field. Like that should be that. You guys should be serving at Lucas Oil Stadium. You guys should be serving coffee with mayonnaise in it. Absolutely. Just forget bobblehead day. Forget that. We're serving coffee with mayo.
Well, okay, Bubba. Bubba is white as hell, and just the thought of it makes Bubba sick. Well, you need to ask somebody else. We need to know.
Marcus is trying to. The fact that this guy is in charge of winning games for the Colts, knowing that he's going out on the field before games and drinking coffee
with a coffee mayo butthole, just going out there. Probably took a nasty shit before the game. Coffee mayo just came out of his ass.
I promise you, if I hear Will Levis, I'm cutting the draft off. I will not. I will not. I cannot do this. Don't I have to end of the podcast and take it back? Can I take it back?
It's too late now.
Too late
no,
now,
we
bro.
got witnesses.
Do it now.
Okay? Witnesses.
This isn't live. No one heard that. This isn't going out anywhere.
Gotta do it now, man.
You do it. And then none but to do it. But he's gonna do that. Probably not on this.
Does he add sugar to give it some sweetness, or is this?
I'm going to Starbucks. No, I'm gonna.
You're putting sugar in this as well.
I gotta put something. You just get a black coffee with mayonnaise in it with nothing else?
You gonna put sugar in it? Like, what's that gonna do? Like,
no. Like,
what type of concoction you trying to put together, man? Man, you might
don't do that. Just do the coffee and mayonnaise.
I didn't mean to say it. It was an accident. I was just joking, guys.
It's too late.
I was joking, guys. Anything said on YouTube, anything I've said on YouTube ever.
It's too late.
I definitely want Jim Irsay to be running that card up there for Will Levis, just so I can see this. Yeah, you drinking that, bro?
You drinking that shit?
You get it to yourself. This cannot. Where's the draft at? I'm going to Kansas City. This cannot happen.
Thursday night.
Can't wait. Matter of fact, I want you gotta get Walmart mayonnaise, because even that mayonnaise it got a different taste to it. It don't taste like actual mayonnaise. It got a little twang to it. So you got to get that one too. You got to get that Great Value mayonnaise, bro. The one that look yellow instead of actually white.
Lord have mercy. Oh my God.
Disgusting.
I've got to stop doing this. I can't keep doing this. You have
to stop doing it to yourself. But this is what you get. This is what you get. Okay.
I'm never coming on this podcast.
Even the white folks listening are disgusted with what's happening right now. Just FYI. Thank you, white people, for tuning in to this show. We appreciate you. But to wrap it up quickly before my fucking computer dies, he's gonna do that. All right. So real quick thought for free agency this year, we focus heavy on defense. Do you think this draft is going to be a mix of offense and defense, or you think we're going to keep focusing heavy on the defense and maybe picking up one or two linemen, offensive linemen?
I think it's going to be a little bit of both. I think this team kind of sort of put themselves in a position where it definitely changed the draft strategy going into it. It's not necessarily a situation where they have to focus on one particular position. I think they're looking at certain players and their fit with the team. I think you're going to see a little bit of both. They're probably going to address interior offensive linemen, edge as well. Would not be surprised if they take a big nickel safety. Ryan Nielsen, coming from the Saints organization, they ran a lot of 3 safety looks. If you recall, there were some times where Malcolm Jenkins was that 3rd safety. Malcolm Jenkins saw time at slot corner, so I wouldn't be surprised if they go and exercise that particular position as well. So I think it's going to be a little bit of both. I think they put themselves in a pretty flexible position in the draft because of free agency.
Bet. That's perfect. I want Bijan. So that's where I'm at with it. I won't be mad at a cornerback. What's that dude? Gonzalez or ain't there someone from Iowa? Or am I tripping?
From who?
Or Illinois. From Iowa or Illinois?
Illinois. Devon Witherspoon.
Yes. Him. I ain't tripping. We go edge. I ain't tripping either. But I really want Bijan. So if Bijan can graciously fall to 8 and we get him, I would greatly appreciate it. Terry. And I'll stop talking about how you a bald black man with cowboy boots and Wranglers that can't be trusted no more. If you get Bijan at 8. So I appreciate it.
Damn, you been talking about it like that?
Hell yeah.
Terry been working. Yeah, come some slack.
This free agency, but it took him too long to get like this for me.
He had no money.
I like instant results. Like I like Eggos, like in the toaster. Look at my Eggo, instant results. You know what I'm saying? Waffle House, 15 minutes. Chick-fil-A, less than 5 minutes. I like instant results. You know what I'm saying?
The team was broke for 2 years, Lethal. What do you want him to do?
Well, shit, use some of his GM money. Like, do something.
You want him to pull money out of his pocket to get?
Hell yeah, fuck him and his kids. Give me my shit. I want a ring, god damn it. I want a ring while I still got a sort of sound mind. I still got all my working limbs and stuff, and I could go streaking down Peachtree Road when we win the Super Bowl. Okay? Damn. Is that too much to ask? I'm getting up there. We getting older. These last couple years with Covisha and shit, like that bitch just made time go by faster. And now I'm 30. I'm about to be 31. I would like to win a Super Bowl before I turn 60. I'm just saying. All right, stop looking at me like that. With that being said, we got to some shit, and I gotta come through these screens and mollywop them.
You probably would with them big knuckles of yours that you've been
Shut up. That's it. We out this bitch. Any shout outs or last words before I make both y'all eat mayonnaise and coffee?
No, that's gonna be Marcus. Marcus is. You shouldn't have did that to yourself, man.
I don't know why he did that shit to yourself.
But you got to do it now. You gotta finish the cup.
If you guys,
we ain't talking about a couple sips, right?
We're talking about the whole thing.
You gotta finish the whole cup, bro.
The whole cup. And ain't no fucking teacup. Don't go buy no sissy, prissy ass teacup. We need a whole coffee mug.
A shot glass.
No, a coffee mug.
Nah, bro.
Regular 8 ounces.
Bro. Don't make us put a straw in that thing.
Oh.
Don't make us put a straw in that thing, all right? We at least allowing you to drink it out of the cup. You going to savor that thing when we put a straw in it now. You did this to yourself.
Oh my god. Dude.
Okay. Before we throw out.
Thank you for having me on. Thank you. I don't want to say anything else because I'm going to get in trouble.
Yeah. Y'all make sure y'all tune in to KTSE Ave. Make sure you follow Eric on Twitter and join his spaces where he talks about it. The Falcons and shit with the masses, and the masses tune in to his spaces. Tune into that. Follow him on Twitter and the rest of his social media platforms. We appreciate you coming in and blessing us with your greatness. Oh, Sensei ESPN.
Appreciate the invite. Don't call me that, please. I'm just a guy, man. I'm just a dude up there. That's it. I ain't nobody special.
On that note, we out. See y'all after the draft.